Buongiorno everyone, welcome to the Magpie Channel TV. Got a live preview for you tonight with Jordy, Scottish Jordy though, as you might know him back in the day on the channel. Used to be a regular on the fan cams, mate. How we doing?
Yeah, very good, mate. Very good.
How was life without Newcastle United in it then? We're still not really watching many games, still hitting up the golf course instead?
Still hitting up the golf course, yeah. When it comes to football, it's gone from depressing from Newcastle to depressing with Scotland. So, same problems, different team pretty much. But, aye, life is good. Golf course has been well and truly damaged by myself, and
Nice.
all good, all good.
Before we get into the Scotland preview, then just quickly on Newcastle, then what's your crack for next
Yep.
season? And as it stands, Bruce still here, no takeover. Are you continuing the old boycott? You're not getting involved much, or will you get roped back in if fans are allowed back?
In terms of season ticket, that's out the window. If it's Ashley and Bruce that are the kind of two men there, then yeah, there's no way I'll be rejoining season tickets. Doesn't look like a takeover is happening, so probably is unlikely anything's going to change. I don't think Bruce is going to go. So yeah, in terms of season ticket, not much chance of that. Yeah, it's very unlikely I'll be back. Do miss it, but also at the same time, it's not been great last season. I don't think I would have, in hindsight, spent money watching that bullshit in the park. So,
Yeah. You
yeah.
want to go to every single away game, the amount of money you must be saving now.
Aye, but that just all gets spent on golf balls that get lost into the water and the bushes. So it just goes elsewhere. It's not saving up in the bank account anyway. But it is one positive, obviously, looking at it. And but I would rather spend that money and go and watch entertaining football and watch a team that we can be proud of. And yeah, it looks like that's a wee bit away just yet. So yeah, in terms of me, I understand people that want to go to the games and will continue buying their season tickets. Fair enough to them, but yeah, not for me until there is a major change.
Fair enough, mate. Did you try and get a ticket for Hampden at all the other day, or for Wembley on Friday, or what?
No, didn't. I don't know. I've been away from football that much in terms of the live games. Everyone's saying, I can't wait to get into a stadium, can't wait to go to games again. Yeah, you miss it, but at the same time, it's kind of been away from it from so much has just made me kind of think, like, just get into a routine of doing other stuff. I'd rather be in the golf course. And to be honest, paying money to go and watch Scotland is probably an even bigger waste of money than paying money to go and watch Newcastle. So watching us get humped at Wembley was never something that really appealed to me. Although saying that if we do get a result, then it'll be one you'll bite yourself for not going. But yeah, I was never really interested in going to the games. Happy sitting watching them and taking them in from the couch.
Aye, nice and easy, cheaper. But you've just mentioned this. We'll get into the preview now. On Friday night, 8 o'clock at Wembley. Obviously, England with a very decent performance and result in the opening game against Croatia, 1-0. And Scotland with a very disappointing 2-0 defeat to Czech Republic. Wasn't it something where I actually had a bet on you to win 2-1 that game? I expected more of yous. I expected less of Czech Republic as well, because I'm sure you even beat them last year, and we thumped them with many changes.
Yeah.
So I was surprised, but obviously we're seeing probably what's going to be goal of the tournament already in Schick's halfway line curler. Unbelievable stuff. So what did you think of that Scotland performance? Were you the same as me? Did you expect to win? Because it was a big chance to try and start well in the group, wasn't it? Because you'd think England, Croatia are obviously bigger than Czech Republic.
Yeah, it was the ideal opportunity. I mean, when the draw was kind of drawn out and you look at the teams, the game that we needed for the first game was Czech Republic, because if we played Croatia first, I think Croatia would have beat us in the first game if we played them. And I think the way that the draw came out, Czech Republic would have been our pick to play them first, because you need to get off to a good start. If you're going into games away to England and then against Croatia needing to win, which we do now, it changes things a bit compared to if we'd won. So it was important to get off to a good start, which we didn't. In terms of did I expect us to win? Probably not. when I seen the lineup. Well, definitely not when I seen the lineup. And I think that's where the problems began. Obviously, we've got a massive advantage having it at Hampden compared to if it'd been at a neutral ground or away or whatever. Perfect chance to get off to a good start, and we set up with a lineup which, to be honest, if it had been the lineup against England, you might have said, right, okay, fair enough. But I thought he would be a bit more attacking. Didn't play any wingers. Played Robertson as like in the left wing back, which is fine, and then Stephen O'Donnell as a right wing back, which is not fine. I don't think he's all I've seen of him. I've never seen enough to be convinced that he's an international fullback that's going to get up and down the line and create stuff. Yeah, I've seen Steve Clarke came out with comments that he's solid and defended well enough. Defended okay, but yeah, you can do that in the Scottish Premier League. But when it comes to international football, whether you're playing for England, France, or even Scotland, you're a major tournament and you need to have creative players that are going to create stuff. And that formation and most of the lineup just didn't have any creativity. It was almost set up as if we're just going to be solid and hopefully we can get a goal out of something, rather than playing players that would create stuff. I mean, you look at the players we had on the bench. I think I tweeted it. Our bench probably would have beat our first starting lineup. I genuinely believe that. Players like David Turnbull, who for Celtic in a season where they've not created anything, he's been the one player that any Celtic fan will tell you creates stuff, makes stuff happen, gets the fans off their seats. Right wing back boy Nathan Patterson, who plays for Rangers. Yeah, he's not played regularly, but he filled in when Tavernier was injured, played in a few European games and showed and scored in them, and showed that he's the type of player that's got that energy to get up and down the park while creating stuff, which Stephen O'Donnell is just more of a solid choice, which when you're playing Czech Republic, you need to go and get a win. I think that's a game we would have looked at, and if you were to say before it, you're not going to beat the Czech Republic, I would say your chances of going through that group are slim at best. So, yeah, the lineup didn't help things.
I couldn't believe that Che Adams was on the bench, mate. I think he's surely one of Scotland's best players. When you look at what he's done in the Premier League for Southampton, he's came into his own a bit. And when I seen that Dykes, mate, his finishing was awful. Like, he's had a couple of big chances. Yeah. I think that you had some good spells, but you were unlucky you didn't finish your chances. And obviously the second goal was a 1 in 100, 1 in a million. Do you know what I mean? But you couldn't finish your chances, like you said. You just didn't create enough either. Kind of like I expected more. You know, when I seen the build-up and I seen it at Hampden, fans there, first major tournament in 20 odd years, players didn't really perform enough for it. Did they?
They didn't, and I mean, if you look at Steve Clarke's record since he became Scotland manager, it's easy to get blinkered by the fact they've got to a major tournament for the first time in 23 years, which is phenomenal, and don't take anything away from that. But you look at his record, our 2 playoff games, which I think Alex McLeish was in charge of the majority of the Nations League games, which got us to the playoffs for it. And then we didn't actually win a game in the playoffs. We got through both of them in penalties. So not winning anything in regular time. Yeah, you make your own luck. And I wouldn't say we're lucky to be there. I think, you still got to win the penalty shootout. But even the qualifiers for the was it the World Cup ones that started, we're just drawing games or getting beat. His record hasn't been great. There's not been many teams we've played and actually went out and beat, other than I think he'd one competitive win in 90 minutes in his last 7, I think it was, which was against the Faroe Islands, which it doesn't scream attacking sort of football and fill you with confidence. And then that lineup should have been lessons learned in our pre-season, or not pre-season, our kind of friendlies leading up to it. Should have used that to play the lineup maybe that was going to play. And Che Adams is, for me, has to start. Even then, I don't see him as a top international striker, and I don't think anyone does, but he's the best I think that we've got. The boy Kevin Nisbet, I hear good things about him. I'm going to be honest, I've not seen enough of him to know what he can do. But I think he's something maybe a bit different from Dykes. And all the games I've seen Dykes play, he's been tidy at times, but he doesn't look like he's going to to grab you goals when you need them. He can bring in other players, but what's the use of him bringing in other players when you play a line up like that where not many players were kind of getting by him? The way that if you look at Robertson down the left can get by and help, but you probably need wingers. The way that if I look at England, for example, Harry Kane gets the ball centrally. He's not going to turn and run away from defenders, but what you have is a Foden and a Sterling or a Grealish, whoever, or Sancho even, who can then get around them, and it means when he holds it up, you've got players running off that you can bring in, whereas Dykes, he'll hold the ball up, but then he's got to play the ball 30 yards back to the defence, and then it's just, there's no sort of attacking impetus, there's no sort of creativity, and that's why I think a Turnbull's got to play. Patterson would have been great to play there, I think. Even James Forrest, who I think can make stuff happen. Our own sort of Ryan Fraser there as well. Play your wingers, get the ball in the box, but it didn't happen. I don't know what he was trying to achieve with it, but looking back, it's easy in hindsight to say, right, we didn't win, so it didn't work. But I don't think any Scotland fan before that game seen that lineup and said, right, here we go, good starting lineup. Every single response I've seen in my group chats on Twitter is, what the hell is this? Not one person would have picked that lineup, I don't think.
It was similar to England's as well, though, because when Southgate released his lineup, a lot of people, I wasn't that bothered about it. The only thing that bothered me was Trippier at left back, but everyone was whinging about, Phillips' partner and Rice, is that too negative? And Sterling starting there instead of Grealish, who's been unbelievable in the warm-ups. But obviously it paid dividends. I was saying it myself, though, during the game against Grealish. I was thinking, right, take Sterling off, get Grealish on, then he obviously pops up with the goal and with the winner. But Phillips, I don't think many people have seen that performance coming. He was unbelievable. So the one thing I would change heading into the Scotland game would be, I would put Chilwell or Shaw at left back. I would keep Phillips and Rice to keep building that relationship. Go ahead, mate.
Yeah, I couldn't understand that when I seen England's lineup. Trippier at left back. You've got two very, very good left backs. Chilwell's just won the Champions League. Luke Shaw's been, I've never really been sold on Luke Shaw, but to put my hands up to him, I think he's had a phenomenal season. Possibly the best left back in the league this season, if you're picking a sort of a dream team, you could argue for it, along with Chilwell and a few others. But you've got those options, and he picks Trippier. I really didn't understand why he done that for you. My feeling probably is he's looking at set pieces, and Trippier's obviously the free kicks he scored against Croatia in the World Cup, and he's thinking, right, we've got a good chance. A lot of people spoke about getting Ward-Prowse in the team because of his set pieces, and Trippier's probably, from that starting lineup, would be the one that would take free kicks along with Mount, as well as corners. So maybe he's looked at it and said, look, set pieces could be important. That's maybe why he's done it. But in terms of the balance of play in normal time, a natural left-sided player, when you've got two of the best in the Premier League, essentially, I really didn't understand them sort of doing that. It did work, I think, because I think England really didn't blow Croatia apart. I think they looked good and looked comfortable, I think, most of the game. And if any team was going to win it, it was obviously going to be England. But going back to what you say about your lineup, like, I could only wish that our problem was people are complaining about a Raheem Sterling getting picked over a Grealish, and it'd be a nice choice to have, whereas we're fighting over a Stephen O'Donnell playing, and that's the big difference. We had the big chance. No one expects us to go through, so why don't we have a go at Czech Republic? It's a perfect chance to start, and that's the frustrating thing. We played all right, I think. I don't think I would say like we just didn't turn up. I think we did create chances and we did get into some positions, but we just didn't look like taking them and didn't look like we were going to ever get something from it. And then you get individual errors like that. The goal, for example, I don't know what the keeper's doing all the way up at the halfway line in the 55th minute or whatever it was, but there you go.
But they finished the match, though. The finish was something else. But do you think Scotland will go for it more than on Friday? I mean, I suppose they have to, really, don't they? Because if they get 0 points in this one, then they're pretty much knackered. And the thing that worries me is that it is obviously a derby. It's the oldest rivalry in world football. Scotland will be dead up for it. This is what they came for. It strikes me that you're obviously buzzing to qualify for the first tournament in over 20-odd years. You will surely be up for the fight at Wembley. Loads of those players will fancy it. The manager will fancy it. Give it a go. And the last few friendlies as well. I remember like the 3-2, the 2-2. There's been close games. Like for me, I think will they either pump you 4-0 or it will be like a very close game.
Yeah. It's a difficult one, so it's kind of a heart and a head moment here. So I think the game becomes more difficult for us because if we had won that first game, we could say, fuck it, we've got the 3 points on the board. This is the game. No one expects us to get anything, so let's go for it. But the problem is now we need to probably get something that we could beat Croatia, so that gets us 3 points. Will that be enough to get through as probably as the third place team? We don't know. It depends how the other groups go. So I would say I don't think it's do or die for Scotland, which is why I think we'll be very cautious and won't go for it. Plus, knowing Steve Clarke as a manager, I don't think even games when we've been expected to win, he's played defensive setups. In games where we really should have gone for it, when we've played teams like Israel, Czech Republic before in the Nations League, I think we've played these teams where we could have a go and we've not. So yeah, knowing the way Steve Clarke is, I think he's going to line up defensive. And I think it'll be a similar lineup to play against the Czechs. He'll go with the 5 at the back. But the worry for me is the problem with England doesn't come from the centre forward, although Kane can obviously score goals. If he's up front himself, he's easy to defend against when he gets the ball in, but the problem comes from the players running off him. So that's where I think it's important that we've got players. And I think it's essential that Scott McTominay plays in the middle of midfield because he knows how plays against Mount every week. He plays against like Grealish, Sterling, whoever it might be. And I think runners from midfield are going to be where we'll need to make it we'll need to stick with what England offer. If we sit in, I think the way it will probably go is we'll sit in and England will have a lot of the ball. And that's why I think it's important that we stay with men. So yeah, I think we'll be fairly cautious in how we set up. We'll probably line everyone behind the ball and hope to get something maybe from a set piece, but I don't see us going for it, to be honest. I think if you were to offer us a draw, is it a bad result? No, because if we get a draw, then we know if we beat Croatia, then we'll probably go through. If not in second place, at least as one in the third place. So I think we'll be cautious, but at the same time, I think England have got enough to get through that, and I agree with that 100%. I think it's either going to be an absolute romping for England or potentially Scotland might get a draw, might even nick it, which is obviously what I'm hoping for. But yeah, in terms of how we set up, I think we've got to be cautious. If we come out at England, we've not got the players to do that when you've got a Sterling, a Kane, a Grealish or Mount or whoever Southgate goes with. If we're allowing you to hit us on the break, then there's only going to be one outcome. So, yeah, as much as I hate to watch my team being defensive, I think it's probably the only option. But what I do hope he does is just play maybe some pace up front. So, Shea Adams, I think, has got to start, but maybe have a Ryan Fraser or James Forrest in there because counter-attacks are going to be our best chance, obviously, from open play. So, having them to hit in the break, but then I think we've got to be pretty cautious. And I think the way the first result's gone, I've played right into England's hand. If this was the first game, England historically haven't started well. I think that's the first time they've won their first game at the Euros.
Yeah.
If it'd been the first game, there'd be kind of maybe a nervousness from England. But now you've got that result, you've beaten Croatia. You know it's not a kind of a free hit for you guys, but you've got points on the board and
pressure's off a bit.
It takes a bit of pressure off. And I think the biggest thing is with a derby, you can never call them when it comes to club football. International football, we've had games recently where it's been pretty close, so hopefully you can never call it. But we're going to have to show a bit more hunger than we did in that first game, and that will be probably the key. But if your players turn up on the day, then it'll be an England win.
Yeah, hopefully that's the case.
But hopefully they don't. Plus, in fact, no, you don't want to win, because if you win your group, obviously it's comes on to looks like it'll be either France or Portugal. So if I was
No.
Southgate, I would just let Scotland win, and it's a win-win for both of us.
If it wasn't a derby, I'd agree with that one, Jordy. I would have quite happily drew or lost the opening game to then beat Scotland and then beat the Czechs. But, you know, and that's what worries me, is finishing top of this group, because it doesn't make sense to me how if we finish top, we'll get rewarded / more punished with France, Germany or Portugal. But if we finish second, we'll probably end up with like a Sweden. You know, tactics when you do need to finish second, but I don't want to lose against Scotland. As long as we don't lose. I mean, I wouldn't take a draw because I think we should beat you, but you know, a defeat would be a disaster.
I know. For us, I mean, if we're going to go out, it'd be great to at least go out and say we beat England. I mean, that would at least not. Don't want to say it'd be a good consolation, but it would.
I think it would.
Although if you were to say though, would I rather beat England and go out, or would I rather get beat by England and qualify for the next round? I'd still rather get to the next round, if I'm being honest. I know we're not going to win it, but let us get some experience of tournament football. We've waited 23 years for it. Like, that's why I don't get why you've been so cautious. Yeah, I mean, have a good time, man.
If you did manage to pull off a win, then it would blow the group wide open. Because you'd have, if Czech Republic lose to Croatia, have Croatia get their first win, then everyone's sitting on bloody 3 points. It would be absolute madness into the last round of fixtures.
No one's going to want to win because they're not going to want to play the winners of the France group. So
I think Southgate will make a couple of changes for this one. Like people are saying, well, how can you drop Phillips, or how can you drop Rice, or how can you drop Sterling after he scored? But I think he will. I think he will make changes. I think you will see Grealish probably come into the fold. You might see a change in defence because, you know, if he is going for the tactics of not go, I think you will want to win the game. Obviously, you will want to win the game, but I think you will change it up, because if we are going to go far in the tournament, we do need to adapt different styles and different formations and different individuals.
Yeah, and I think the way that Southgate will probably know that we'll approach it pretty cautiously, at least to start anyway. I think a Grealish would be important, vital for you guys, because you're going to have a lot of the ball. You need players that are going to get in behind, get into these areas, and be able to create stuff. So do you need a Declan Rice and a Calvin Phillips when he knows we've not got a lot in that area? Do you need both of them? You probably don't. Phillips was so good in the first game, I don't think you can really drop him. But then, I mean, Declan Rice, I know there's been a bit of history with him in this channel, but if you're being honest, I think he's a terrific player. So who'd you pick between both of them? And Southgate's got problems, but his problems are nice to have, whereas we've got the wrong problems. We've got, how are we going to get a lineup that's going to get anything from this game? It's completely different, but hopefully that our players just show a bit more fight and can.
Let's hope it's a good game on Friday night anyway. Let's hope it's treated like a derby. It's treated like a major tournament. You know, the last one in '96, what a game. You know, what a chance.
There'll be none of that though. It'll be Lyndon Dykes with the blonde hair flicking it over.
I think that's why he's done it.
John Stones, he said.
He's still for a bit of luck there, Dykesy. Dying his head out. It'll be Foden. It'll be Foden who does it this time round, mate.
No chance.
Right then, cheers, mate. I will go optimistic. I will go 4-0 England. A 3-1. That's what I'm going for.
Yeah, confident, but I'm just hoping it is that cagey game that I predicted. I've got to say Scotland are going to win, don't I? So 1-0 Scotland, 88th minute. Grant Hanley up for a set piece. Bang. Ex-Newcastle man, who I thought was pretty good actually in our game. I don't think you could really fault his performance. Big Hanley doing the damage. Getting away from Stones at the corner, stick it in. 1-0 Scotland.
Or Ryan Fraser, someone like that. Oh, who knows? But there it is then. Cheers everyone for watching. I got Peter saying 2-0 England. It could be a scrappy close one like that. I'm just getting our board. But keep your comments coming in. Cheers, Jordy. Thanks for your time, mate. Enjoy the game Friday.
I'll try to, mate. I'll try to. Ask me at the end if I enjoyed it. If it's the wrong outcome, I might never speak to you again. So we'll see how it goes.
I'm sure you're not answering WhatsApp on Friday night, mate. I'm sure you won't. I definitely won't be. If you win, I'm deleting your number. Put it that way.
I'll find alternate ways.
You'll be in the comments
you'll never hear the end of it. But hopefully it's a good game anyway. But hopefully there's only one winner, and it's the boys in blue.
That's if England are wearing the away kit, the blue and red one. Right then. Cheers, mate. See you later. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, mate.